All right, Lions have lost to the Packers 31-24 there. Big game on Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, today it was really just the fourth downs not converting. And yeah, that's really the main reason we lost to the Packers. They went for it on fourth down at the end there as well. And yeah, they had that fourth down touchdown early on to Dontavian Wicks, which a lot of fans won't agree with. But I did feel like as soon as he had his hands on the ball, he had his right foot down, then he gets his left foot down. There's no question about the feet. The only question is, did he lose control? And watching the replays, it's not blatantly obvious that he loses control of the ball, so they're going to have to stay with the call on the field there, leave it as a touchdown. All right, fortunately, it does look like Amon-Ra St. Brown's ankle injury is not as bad as I had feared, and hopefully only miss a couple weeks. But it's going to be really tough to, try to make the playoffs without him. Obviously, I really don't know who's going to be the guy getting a ton of targets. Today, JMO had a huge game, but honestly, I'm not sure if that's realistic for every week. Jared Goff hits Amon St. Brown a lot when he gets to the top of his drop and he's under pressure. A lot of times he can just find St. Brown versus almost any coverage and put it in an area where St. Brown can come back to the ball or, just kind of jump at the last second or drop at the last second to protect himself. And he's just a guy that Jared Goff really trusts in those situations. And I don't really think Jameson is on that level yet. And yeah, Jamo was kind of that guy today. He had quite a few targets, I think 144 yards. And this huge touchdown, slipping a tackle there, able to pull it within 10 points. He also had another huge play later on. Oh gosh. Here it is, yep. Got this over route running across, running away from guys, and showing off the speed there. And I'm not 100% sure if this is going to be an every week thing. He's going to be getting this many targets, but it's very possible with Amon St. Brown out for a few weeks. You could see that, and yeah, I guess we'll just have to see, obviously. But I don't really think Isaac Tesla's ready to get more than a few targets a game, kind of contested catch situations and things like that. But yeah, I do think maybe it might be Tom Kennedy. He did have a few targets here in the first half, obviously. But yeah, I just don't know how the offense is going to look without St. Brown consistently going forward. And the Lions really maybe have to win out to make the playoffs, obviously. It's very possible you will need 10 or 11 wins for a wild card in the NFC. It looks like this year. The Bears are currently winning versus the Eagles, so I don't really think NFC North is very possible at this point. And also, the Packers have a game and a half lead on the Lions now with that tie they had. So, yeah, I just think if the Lions don't win out at this point, it is definitely possible we miss the playoffs. All right, so first off, I wanted to look at some of the fourth downs for this game. The big ones for the Lions, there's really two ones here. One of these in the third quarter with about 11 minutes left, and the second one's in the fourth quarter with I think about 10 minutes left. But yeah, so on this play, they're going to run kind of like an inside run here. Looks like maybe some kind of power with a pulling guard. They're going to pull the left guard across, but I just want you to watch this guy right here. He's going to wind up making the tackle. But the issue on here is you're going to run it on 4th and 3. Oh, okay, the Lions have done this quite a few times over the last few years, and it has worked, actually, a lot of times. Obviously it's not 100%, but it has worked sometimes. It's not, I don't think it's a terrible idea just to run the ball, independent of the situation. I do actually think there's times when it catches the defense off guard and it's an easy first down. So I don't really have a huge problem with running the ball. Anyone that says you shouldn't run the ball haven't been watching the Lions probably. But what I do have an issue with is when you have a guy like this who just goes unblocked, okay, and they're going to run right down the middle and just make this play. All right, so here you go. Snap the ball. Linebacker runs right through and hits Gibbs there, unblocked. Now, if you watch this again, you got 74 is going to come around and get the guy kind of lined up over Penei Sewell here. He's going to kind of kick him out there, creating a lane. So obviously Gibbs is supposed to go right off of that block on the inside. But the problem here is Penei Sewell on this play is going to cut back all the way across in block 56 here. Basically, it looks like Ratledge and Penei Sewell are kind of supposed to double team 96, and then Penei Sewell is supposed to move to 56. So if that's the case, I really just don't know who is supposed to block the guy who actually makes the tackle here. Yeah, I mean, Tesla here is in the slot, and he's going to go block the other linebacker, as you see. He's going to get him right there. Actually does a pretty solid job. And, yeah, blocks that guy. Other tight end is just way too far away to make anything of consequence happen. He's just like, he's literally like 6 yards away from anybody he's going to try to block. There's just no way he's going to get there on this type of a play. So for me, this just really doesn't make sense. I'm pretty sure, yeah, I mean, if I pause it right here, that's Penei Sewell, okay? And here's the guy that makes the tackle. And he's going to, you know, scrape down and block this guy when really, you know, this is the guy. I don't know if this is the guy who they identified as a Mike, but obviously he's the guy who made the play, and he was unaccounted for. And he's like, you know, probably the most important player to identify at the second level as the Mike. So just doesn't make any sense. You know, this is just miscommunication on a key fourth down. You just cannot have that. And that's the main reason this play doesn't work. I think if Penei Sewell goes and blocks him, you know, and Tesla blocks his guy, maybe you have a bit of a lane here. But without making that block, this just is not going to happen unless Gibbs anticipates and hits the outside or something on this one. There really was no chance of picking up a first down. All right, so we also had this other key fourth down in the fourth quarter with about 11 minutes left, and this one was pretty tough. Jameson was open on the play, but Jared Goff kind of flushed from the pocket, is unable to make this throw while moving. This has been a thing with Jared Goff most of his career. Pretty much if he's moving, he's just not able to hit these types of throws as consistently as a lot of other guys. Yeah, anyone that says something like Jared Goff choked or whatever, I don't really think I can agree. I just feel like that's the type of quarterback Jared Goff is. You just do not want him moving while throwing the ball, and you have to design your offense around that, you know? So anytime you have these kind of like guys breaking open late, it really requires very good protection. And, you know, on this play, it was probably good enough. Maybe he could have stood in there a little longer and waited for this, you know. As soon as he starts moving, it's going to be a much more difficult throw for him. You know, he is just wide open, only, you know, maybe 8 yards away. Really unfortunate that that throw was missed. Yeah, because the Lions actually wound up scoring their next drive. And yeah, that's really tough. 2 key fourth downs there. You know, one we just missed the throw. And the first one, it's like definitely a miscommunication along the offensive line. Probably should have been Penei Sewell blocking that guy, but I'm not 100% sure. It doesn't really make sense for Isaac Tesla to come across and block the middle linebacker like that. So probably Penei Sewell on that one. And yeah, at the end there, we were trying to go score. Micah Parsons got this quick win versus Taylor Decker there. And that's just what you're going to get with, Taylor Decker. Guys like Micah Parsons are going to be able to get around him. And yeah, he really is just really fast and strong. And then on the last consequential of the game here, you had Dontavian Wicks getting a huge play here versus Brian Branch on fourth down. The Packers go for it. Did not want to give the Lions back the ball. And nice job here by Jordan Love throwing it up. And under pressure, from McNeil's right in his face. Obviously going to take a hit. Nice throw there. And also an incredible catch by Dontavian Wicks, keeping control on that one. That was impressive. So, yeah, for me, this game really came down to a few critical plays. And, I don't really think the Lions got their ass beat or anything. It really was just a few plays. You had that fourth down where we just didn't pick up the linebacker when we ran the ball. And then that play where Jared Goff misses Jameson while moving. We all know Jared Goff is just not the greatest at throwing the ball while moving, and that's what you get in those situations. So, yeah, hopefully the Lions can turn things around the next few weeks, but it's going to have to be without St. Brown. We have to play the Cowboys next Thursday. They did win their Thanksgiving matchup, and yeah, we'll just have to see how that goes. We'll just have to see how it all unfolds. But right now, things are not looking great for the Lions. Playoff hopes this season. And yeah, we'll be back after that Cowboys game, probably the next morning, and we'll just have to see how that goes. We'll catch you then.